Hey guys, I have my microphone packed away, so I apologize if you can't hear me. I'm not going to introduce myself or anything like that because I'm not going to try and share this or anything because honestly, look at what's going on here. So, I am on the road. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina right now, and I just got off my flight and I'm about to get on another flight, unless I miss it, to South Bend. I am, yes, still doing reporting on South Bend and Pete Buttigieg specifically. So I have a couple more stories coming out. One, hopefully, I guess next week. That one's already reported out, written up, all that stuff. It's just going through the edit process and everything like that. And the other one, I don't know. The other one is going to be done when it's done. That's why I'm going to South Bend. I want to meet some people, learn some things, hear some things, and then I'll see what kind of story I've got. And obviously the reason I'm going is because I've got some information that I'd like to follow up on, and we'll see what comes of it. In the meantime, I understand Rachel Maddow had an interview, which I have not seen. And by the way, if folks have forgotten, we actually did some reporting on Ukraine. We actually did some reporting on Ukraine about a year and a half ago or so on connections between conservative American politicians whose travel to Ukraine and former Soviet countries was financed, at least in part, by the Fellowship Foundation, also known as the Family, which, as it turned out later on, the FBI said had also been of some assistance to Maria Butina and Alex Torshin getting people at the National Prayer Breakfast. So I'm definitely curious to see how all of this stuff is going to play out. In the meantime, I'm going to shut up for a minute and see what you guys have to say. Mr. Elder says, John is quickly becoming one of my favorite people. That's a good thing because among my favorite people, I just lost your comment. It faded away. It looked like you were saying AOC and Bernie. I just deleted you. Reptiles Z says, hang in there, JL. Your hard work helped me sway a friend away from his leaning toward Mayor Pete. Your voice is amplified. So, yeah, I appreciate the encouragement for sure. But I do want to clarify that the point of the reporting is not to sway people one way or the other. If you are leaning toward Buttigieg and you are and you come across our reporting, I don't necessarily think that switching away from Buttigieg is necessarily the first recourse. I think there's some information we still need. We haven't really heard from him about a lot of the stuff that we've reported. And I think before people make decisions, I hope they would try, I've been trying, to get some information regarding what Mayor Buttigieg, now former Mayor Buttigieg, did, when and why. So I'm always thrilled to hear that our reporting matters to people. That's why we do it, because we think the information is useful to people as they make their political calculations and so on and so forth. But you know, the point I always try to make about unintended consequences is that if, for instance, you report something that seems like an attack on a politician and they respond smartly to it or get ahead of the story, then it ends up being a help to them, the fact that you've done this quote-unquote attack. Jess says Giuliani's response to the Parnas interview was hilarious at best. Parnas attended the funeral of George Bush with Giuliani as his plus one. Yeah, I mean, there's a real Keystone Cops aspect to everything we're learning about Ukraine and Lev Parnas and all this stuff. Just how sort of ham-handed it is, which is kind of fascinating because we think of these people as being at the top of a massive bureaucracy with tentacles everywhere, which is true, but whether you want to call it deep state or not, a lot of those tentacles are wrapped in protocol, they're wrapped in norms, they're wrapped in precedent, and to utilize them in ways that are out of the norm, that sends up triggers. Reptile Z says, well, my friend understood how easily he was doing the will of his funders instead of the will of his voters' best interests. It happened on his own. So that makes sense to me, but again, like, when we say the will of his funders, right, from his perspective, are longtime people who've been active in South Bend politics and who I'm sure care about the community, right? These are people who've lived their whole lives there, have given their careers and their professional commitment to making the place better. Now, in the case of one of those donors, he got rich in the process, but that's how it's supposed to be, right? You're supposed to do well by doing good. So I think there are still questions that I would like to hear people to judge asked. And to be honest, that's a big part of why I'm still doing this reporting. I've said this before, but when I started off, I sort of assumed, I first started looking at this stuff back in March, and I sort of assumed that long before now, some other paper or news outlet would have come along and kind of stolen my thunder and be you know, kind of take the story away from me. But and then I could move on to other things. That's fine. It happens, you know. But it hasn't happened yet. So while I'm still getting tips, and while there still seems to be information that merits looking at, I seem to still be doing it. So anyway, like I said yesterday, I am on the road. I am going to be holding meetings, by which I mean getting coffee with people and things like that. So I don't know how reliable I'm going to be for the end of this week and the beginning of next week, but so please subscribe if you don't already, right? Anything I say is guaranteed to be a reason to subscribe. If it's raining, that's a reason to subscribe. If it's not raining, please subscribe. But in this case, it means that sometimes when I check in, it may be off schedule. Jess says, I do find it ironic as well as a bit of karma doing her thing that Parnas might just be the modern day John Dean. Yeah, and I'm a little curious. I didn't watch the interview. I haven't been following the Ukraine angle too much, but I'm a little curious what motivated Parnas to speak out and why to Maddow. And maybe that got addressed in the interview. I don't know, but it's all very interesting. And look, in a way, that's part of the danger of this story, is that the whodunit aspect appeals to our instincts. But in the meantime, there are things that we already know who's doing it, and those things are just as important, if not more so, right? The number of people going hungry, the number of people whose futures are slipping away, the number of kids in cages, the number of people going bankrupt due to not having adequate health coverage. Those aren't whodunits, but they're arguably just as important, if not more so. So, anyway, that's my spiel for today. I didn't want you guys to think that I was neglecting you. I am neglecting you, but I just didn't want you to think it. No, I mean, you know, I'm doing my best. I'm here at the airport and about to make my connecting flight. So when I get folks who are willing to talk to me live on camera, then we'll put them up here on TYT Investigates. When I've got folks who I don't want to put up on camera, then I won't be putting them up on TYT Investigates. Jess says, you're doing great, Jonathan. Thank you very much, Jess. I appreciate it. I'm not sure any reporter ever feels like they're doing great, but I certainly feel like you guys have my back, and that's just as good, if not better. So thank you very much, everyone. And I don't know when I'll see you next, but hopefully soon. Thank you, DLJ. DLJ says thanks for the update. Thank you guys for checking in, and I will see you soon, I hope. I'm just not entirely sure when. In the meantime, take care of each other, take care of yourselves. Bye now. Oh, one more thing. If you do want to reach me or whatever, you can always DM me at JT Larson on Twitter. It's a lot easier to check Twitter as I go rather than to create a webcast here. So you can always get in touch with me there if I bailed on you, if you have questions, whatever. So anyway, take care. Bye now.